We're going to find out a little bit today about the Nature Trust of BC and how it relates to, well, nature in BC. We have two experts with us, Doug and Tom. Well, here we go. I'll be all right. From the Nature Trust. It's kind of dangerous being out in nature, Doug.
It is. You got to be careful.
You do. There's rocks and rivers and things. BC, now I know you're a retired biologist?
Biologist, wildlife biologist.
So you would know, I guess, more than anybody, that BC is just a treasure as far as nature goes.
There's quite a few people that realize that, but maybe not so much in the general public. But yes, BC is blessed of being the most diverse, richest biodiversity in terms of animals, plants, bugs, slugs, microorganisms in all Canada. In terms of all provinces, compared to provinces and territories, it reflects the geological and glacial history of the province. So we have some huge landforms. Most of them kind of run north-south. Mm-hmm. So we're starting with the coast mountains. It goes from basically here right up to Alaska. Our prevailing climate is influenced primarily from the ocean. So we have westerlies coming in. Mm-hmm. So they come in and they hit the first barrier, the Coast Range, drop their moisture. There you have the iconic temperate rainforest. Mm-hmm. Over the mountains into the leeward side, they've lost their moisture, so then we're entering into the drier interior. South interior is fairly warm, semi-arid. As we go further north through the interior and into the Chilcotin Plateau and up towards the boreal forest, it gets cooler, obviously. Continuing east, we have more mountain ranges, Columbia Mountain Range, and then we hit the Rocky Mountain Trench. It's just, as the name implies, just a huge valley. And then we're up against the Rocky Mountains.
A very diverse province. I had no idea you knew so much about it, in fact. Well, I guess the point is, it's a gem, and there are certain parts of it, if not all of it, that should be maintained and treasured. Now, that's where I was going to ask Tom a question here, because to a lot of people, they don't know too much about the Nature Trust. What is it you folks do, Tom?
Well, just building on what Doug said, since 1971, in recognition of how special British Columbia is with all the variety of ecosystems and species, the Nature Trust was founded, like I said, over 40 years ago. It's a non-advocacy, non-for-profit conservation organization that's focused on securing habitats throughout the province of British Columbia, focusing in on these areas that are at risk, coastal Douglas fir, the interior areas, and then the Rocky Mountain Trench. And we have a few other properties throughout the province. And since 1971, we've secured over 70,000 hectares or 150,000 acres to date.
Areas like Englishman River and the estuary just around the corner from us here.
Yeah, the Englishman where we're standing right now, and the estuary is about 1 kilometer down from us. It was identified quite a few years ago as one of the most endangered river systems in the province, and that was due to some upper watershed logging, adjacent urban development, and pressures on the ecosystem. And the Nature Trust and our partners have worked for over the last 30 years securing quite a lot of the habitat here. Focusing in on the estuary, and the reason we started the estuary is overall in BC, estuaries only make up 3% of the coastline, but they support over 80% of all fish and wildlife species in the province. And so the rarity of them is tremendous, and the risk to them, as Doug said earlier, is there's a lot of people that want to live near them. And we've worked for quite a few years securing habitat from the estuary all the way up to Englishman River Falls Provincial Park.
Now, Doug, I know you're a director of the Nature Trust.
Yes.
Any idea how many properties in the province you have now?
I believe it's in the neighborhood of like maybe 470 actual properties, totaling 70,000 hectares of land. And we have an ecological assessment framework to sort of assess candidate properties, because obviously we can't buy them all, we can't purchase them all, we have to be selected priorities. So we look at biodiversity significance, both provincially and at the regional context. So we'll look at things like species richness, and we look at rarity, of course, number of blue, red listed species. We look at the site condition, and some areas that perhaps were good candidates or party beyond restoration perhaps. And then we also look at adjacencies, so areas that are perhaps can be linked with corridors or what have you with another conservation area would be a higher priority. So we look at those priorities, and then obviously we have to look at cost as well. The board is made up of kind of a balance between science folks and those people that know something about finance, a lot more than biologists.
Always a good thing.
Yeah, the Nature Trust does not go into debt. We don't mortgage properties to pay down additional properties or whatever. So we have a very fiscal responsible board that way. And the bottom line is that when people donate, they can trust the Nature Trust.
Mm-hmm. Well, now getting to that, Tom, how can people help out?
Well, they can visit the Nature Trust on the web. It's naturetrust.bc.ca. And if you're out about on Vancouver Island or at several of our areas throughout the province, many of our properties have interpretive signs that provide lots of information, local contact info, where you can contact my counterparts in the Kootenays and the Okanagan or throughout the area. Additionally, we also work quite extensively with local volunteer groups, stewardship groups, and there's many opportunities for people if they can make a financial donation, as Doug said, that to support our work. But we also have a lot of people who donate their time as volunteers, and on the Englishman here, excuse me, and throughout the Parksville-Qualicum area, we have hundreds of volunteer hours every year donated to us, help us work on the land base.
It all sounds good. The Nature Trust of BC. Now, between the two of you, I'm sure one of you knows the way out of here.
What's it worth to you?
Oh, make a donation.
Make a donation?